Thursday, the 9th day of May 2019. Hello there and welcome to News Tonight here on UBC TV. First though, let's have a look at our top stories. In our news tonight, government decides on a power land conflict, announces next steps. NRM launches manifesto week, implementation reaches 62%. North Korea fires 2 short-range missiles. And in sports, secondary school games contest reaches semi-finals. Hello there and welcome to News Tonight here on UBC TV. Remember that we are coming live to you from Broadcast House here on Nile Avenue. Mugalu Mohammed is on sign language and I am Edward Rukidi Kijanangoma. Now, 7 newly appointed envoys from Ethiopia, the Vatican, Sahrawi Republic, Poland, Brazil, Slovakia and Canada have presented their credentials to President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni at State House, Entebbe. Now, the separate ceremonies were witnessed by State Minister for International Affairs, Honorable Henry Okello Oryem. This report, courtesy of the Presidential Press Unit.
7 newly appointed envoys from Ethiopia, the Vatican, Sahrawi Republic, Poland, Brazil, Slovakia and Canada have presented their credentials to President Museveni during ceremonies that took place at State House in Entebbe. The separate ceremonies were witnessed by the State Minister for Internal Affairs, Honorable Henry Okello Oryem.
Your Excellency, I have the honor.
While receiving the letters of credence of the new Ethiopian ambassador to Uganda, Ms. Alemteshei Meseret Gelau, President Museveni discussed issues centering on construction of a road that will link Uganda to Ethiopia from Moroto through Kotido, Kabong, parts of northwestern Kenya, up to southern Ethiopia. Mr. Museveni warmly welcomed Pope Nuncio Archbishop Luigi Bianco and congratulated him on his new posting. He commended the good relationship between Uganda and the Vatican. Archbishop Bianco, on his part, wished the people of Uganda continued peace and God's blessings.
Democratic Republic to Uganda, His Excellency Bashir Mohammed.
The new Sahrawi envoy, Mr. Mohamed Bachir El-Wali, also presented his letters of credence to President Museveni, who welcomed him to Uganda. Later, President Museveni received and welcomed the new Polish ambassador, Jack Bazanski, to Uganda, and the two leaders discussed issues of economic development between Poland and Uganda. President Museveni and the new Brazilian envoy, Fernando Esterita Lins de Salvo Coimbra, reviewed matters of development cooperation between Uganda and Brazil, noting that the two countries share a lot in common and have enormous potential to develop their relationship in the sectors of agriculture, education and industry, among others. The new Slovak ambassador, Franciszek Dihopolocek, and the president discussed, among other areas, energy and information communication technology issues, or ICT. President Museveni asked the envoy to encourage Slovak companies to take advantage of the big markets on the African continent through working on increased investments on the continent.
Your Excellency, it's my honor to present to you the letters of recall of my predecessor and my own letters of credence from Her Excellency the Government of Canada.
Later, President Museveni received the credentials of the new Canadian High Commissioner, Lisa Stadel-Bauer, and congratulated her upon her assignment in Uganda. UBC TV, Harriet Nambi.
Thanks, Harriet, for that report there. Meanwhile, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni said that he is ready for the groundbreaking ceremony for the Aga Khan University Hospital in Kampala, Uganda. The President was meeting the diplomatic representative of the Aga Khan Development Network and a senior executive team from the Aga Khan University, Mr. Firoz Rasool, at State House, Entebbe. In December 2015, President Museveni and His Highness the Aga Khan laid a brick at the Nakawa site to symbolize the foundation stone laying for the Aga Khan University Hospital. According to Mr. Firoz Rasool, His Highness Aga Khan will be in Uganda in July to perform the groundbreaking ceremony with President Museveni. In the meeting, the President and his guest discussed the final designs and construction program for the new world-class teaching hospital with its associated education and housing facilities planned for Kampala. Ministers from the relevant ministries were also present. Mr. Rasool briefed the President about the progress of the university hospital construction and showed him the plan and the module of the hospital structure. The Aga Khan University Hospital in Nakawa will be built on a plot donated by the government of Uganda, and the project is expected to have 600 beds, with 100 of them in the first phase. Meanwhile, President Yoweri Museveni last year in August directed Prime Minister Dr. Ruhakana Rugunda to lead efforts that are aimed at finding a lasting solution to a power land conflict. He also tasked the Acholi and Madi leaders to respectively compose a committee of 8 eminent personalities to examine the 3 options he had offered. Now, following a series of meetings and consultations, the Prime Minister has met the negotiating team to communicate the government decision on the matter. We have more on that in this report.
The Prime Minister thanked the 2 teams for their commitment in resolving the land conflict in the East Madi Wildlife Reserve. He said it is now time for government to take a final position on this matter and move to the next level. Government took the following decisions, among others. Everyone should vacate the East Madi Wildlife Reserve. For those who acquired national identification cards in APA between 2013 and 2014, the resettlement package of 10 million shillings, 20 bags of cement, and 20 iron sheets will be given to each household in the reserve to enable them move and settle elsewhere. For those without national identification cards registered in APA, each will be given 2 million shillings. To close the APA market by the end of March 2019, which has already been effected.
This is the position of government, and I will therefore call on the 2 team leaders to give us a word or 2. And let me also say this: what is the fate, what is the future of these 2 teams? The government has not taken a final position on the matter. Suffice it to say that our recommendation to government is that the 2 teams should remain in place because they are key leaders of the community, and that the technical and the political leaderships will be consulting with you at different moments and may call upon you to perform some tasks as the process of resettlement goes on.
The Prime Minister added that the technical team from different government agencies with support from the political level, will now embark on sensitization of the affected people. Michael Mgirwa, UBC News.
In other news related to the presidency, President Museveni has cautioned youth to guard against bad elements in society who have no correct ideological direction. Now, this message was contained in a speech read for him by the Prime Minister, Dr. Ruhakana Rugunda, at the closing ceremony of Father Grimes National Schools Chess Championship.
Muzeyi Museveni je yatununulira munsi y'ekisikiza enkyukakyuka gye mugamba egenda kutukosa tulidaga mu Uganda eyo enkulaakulana gye tuzimbye egenda kumenyebwa bano bali komishoni Uganda baagala kinnyika bannayuganda tubuze naffe tusazeewo tulidaga mu Uganda eyo tulidagana nga tulidagana ng'eddembe munsi yaffe ligeze abayaganga bawambye tulidagana nyabo tulidaga mu Uganda eyo.
The Father Grimes National Schools Chess Championship, which attracted 12 schools, took place at King's College, Budo. In the speech read for him by the Prime Minister, President Museveni reiterated government commitment to support schools' development in the country.
I wish to warn you against bad elements that may come to you with disorienting ideologies. Having no correct ideological direction was the biggest strategic bottleneck Uganda was facing, and we have continuously dealt with it. And that's why I was also very happy to hear of patriotic clubs going on, because it helps orient the young people to the challenges, the tasks, the responsibilities that they are facing and their country is facing. Therefore, the issue of ideological orientation is a very important one. Encourage it in your schools, in your homes, and in the country in general. Finally, you have exhibited what the legend Nelson Mandela said, and I'll quote him. Nelson Mandela said, "Sport has the power to change the world. It has the power to inspire. It has the power to unite people in a way that little else does. It speaks to youth in a language that the youth understand. Sport can create hope where once there was only despair."
St. Marcelino Academy, Matuga, emerged champions of the primary school's open category, while Ginger College emerged champions of the secondary school's open category. Michael Mgirwa, UBC News.
To other news now, where the Prime Minister, Dr. Ruhakana Rugunda, has assured the media that Uganda has reached targets set by the NRM government. And as we hear from Bernard Yiga, the National Resistance Movement has highlighted 15 specific milestones so far accomplished in the last 3 years.
This Sunday, 12th May 2019, will be 3 years since NRM presidential candidate Yoweri Museveni started a 5-year mandate of leading the country. Government, through the NRM manifesto, pledged to take the country to modernity through job creation and inclusive development.
And as I said, we're on course.
3 years after, the NRM party has achieved 62% of the 5 years target.
The amendment of the public procurement and the disposal of assets, law, free connection to the national grid, wananchi being able to access power, improved planning, budgeting, monitoring, and reporting, and continuous implementation of affirmative programs in selected regions to promote inclusive growth and development.
Some of the achievements include completion and commissioning of Isimba Dam, adding 183 megawatt of electricity on the grid, the good progress on Karuma Dam, expected to be complete by close of this year, to add 600 megawatts to the grid, the revival of Uganda Airlines, completion and commissioning of the neonatal and specialized women hospital at Mulago, and the rehabilitation of Mulago National Referral Hospital. Others include promotion of industrialization, with several factories launched, completion of Entebbe Kampala Express Highway, the completion and commissioning of the source of the Nile Bridge, and the ongoing expansion and modernization of Entebbe International Airport. Other targets include the establishment of government-aided secondary school for each sub-county, which is ongoing, prioritization of investments in agriculture as the backbone of the economy, distribution of seedlings of cocoa, citrus, tea, mangoes, oranges and apples through Operation Wealth Creation, the increase in coffee production from 3.5 million bags last year to 4.1 million bags to date, that bring in US dollars 490 million. Growth in the GDP to spur rapid economic growth and improving the investment climate to reduce the cost of doing business and attract investors.
Overall, our assessment of the implementation of the manifesto commitments as I speak now stands at 62%, which is really a very commendable percentage of achievement. We are convinced that with the momentum we have generated, we are set to achieve most of the targets in the manifesto.
The party, however, decries delays in land acquisition, derailing smooth implementation of the manifesto.
The fight against corruption has been reinforced by the recent establishment of a State House unit led by Lieutenant Colonel Id Nakalema to fight corruption. So we are reinforcing the battles, the fight, the war against corruption.
On promotion of multi-party democracy in the country, the NRM Secretary General Justin Kasule Lumumba said the IPOD, set to reconvene next week, will sort out all these challenges.
These are issues that have to be discussed by political parties. Yes, the laws are talking about the leadership in the political parties. Then how are the independents regulated when it comes to issues of politics in the multi-party dispensation? So as you are aware, these are issues that we are looking at as progressively to make sure whether political parties or individuals are regulated.
The 2-week-long activities will see government ministries and departments take stock of what has been achieved so far, the challenges encountered, and the roadmap to accomplish the remaining tasks. Bernard Iga, UBC TV, in Kampala.
Thanks, Panadiga, for that report there. And now on to matters pertaining to education, where findings by Higher Education Students Finance Board show that at least 78 million shillings has been collected to date, as 1,700 loan beneficiaries will be due for repayment this year, 2019. Now, the board also urges employers not to default but remit or notify the board about a student loan beneficiary. Sandra Kahunde reports.
The responsibility comes, you let us know.
Higher Education Students Finance Board convened to encourage students to fulfill their loan obligations, as well as employers carries on with the necessary deductions. A student loan beneficiary who fails to make repayments to the Finance Board commits an offence.
They say in the event that you deduct and not remit, or you don't deduct, the penalty will go to equal 240 currency points. If you read in our law, every currency point is equivalent to 20,000 shillings. That gives you about 4.8 million. Or imprisonment of 10 years. Imprisonment is decided by the courts of law.
The Students' Loan Scheme will increase equitable access to higher education, support qualified students, ensure regional balance in higher education services, develop and support courses which focus on national development.
A total of 672 students have completed their period of studies and even completed the grace period. Because you see, when you start there, we also give you a grace period of 1 year to prepare yourself.
All student loan beneficiaries are covered for death and permanent disability on provision of a certificate of death or certificate of degree of disability. The loan is waived. Sandra Kahunde-Gaba, UBC News.
Parents are urged to ensure proper parenting of children to enable them have a good lifestyle. A Yivu County Member of Parliament, Bernard Atiku, demands an implementation strategy that will facilitate the enforcement of the Children's Act. Now, this comes at a time when rights of children are violated, forcing them to the streets. In another development, a cross-section of members of Parliament are pushing for the prohibition of human sacrifice bill. Ivan Kahwa explains.
For instance, I've been to one district in Karamoja region where they still believe that the first time a girl experiences a menstrual cycle, the second one is not supposed to come when she's still in her parents' household.
Cultural rights are among forms of violence that have forced young children to the streets of urban centers. Most children live at the mercy of individuals who take advantage of their ignorance to hoodwink them into selfish desires.
Where violence against children has occurred, let's respond immediately. Immediately in terms of services.
I have been on the street, I know what it means. So for us, when we bring the children from the streets into our rehabilitation centers, they are there for a specific period of time, between 3 to 6 months.
So as a ministry, we are building a case management system that will promote the referral network. Because a child has to go through different centers to receive services.
The presence of street children in urban areas arises from kidnap, slave trade, cultural demands and child violence.
We are absent in the lives of our children. We are strangers. So even when something happens to them right now at home, because you're a stranger in their life, they'll not share with you when you go back home.
About 15,000 street children are believed to camp in urban settings. Save Street Children Uganda collects 5 street children weekly, but recommends a multi-sectoral approach to address street life.
Of children living on the streets and even other problems, issues of child marriage, issues of child trafficking, issues of child labor. All these cannot be addressed by one source. But
government wants prevention and prohibition of human sacrifice bill that includes capital punishment.
But here is a situation where murder arises out of somebody kidnapping a child, keeping that child in a shrine, drawing blood from that child for more than a month until that child dies. Now, that kind of person, if found, deserves a mightier penalty. And we have proposed in our bill as a punitive measure, death sentence.
Child abuse pushes the lives of young children into vulnerability of any kind of oppression, and this calls for more sensitization on the upbringing of the children. Ivan Kahwa, UBC News.
The State Minister for Works, General Katumba Wamala, admits that failure to collect toll fee for Entebbe Express Highway is negatively affecting road toll business. Now, it's close to 1 year since Entebbe Express Highway was commissioned, but since then the proposed fee for the road has not been effected.
This is the beautiful and one of its kind Entebbe Express Highway. It was commissioned by President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni June last year. However, lack of a law to allow government collect toll fee from the users has made the facility use have a free ride. Failure to collect the toll fee from the Entebbe Express Highway means the period for serving the loan will be longer than 1 year. Works Minister General Katumba Wamala admits that the failure to collect toll fee from Entebbe Express Highway is a fault on government.
Because this is the first time we are doing a road a real road toll, leave alone these ones where people put strings across the road and get some money. But this is the real road tolling which we are going to do, and it's the first time. So it is true that the bill delayed, but the bill is coming off by today. But again, that goes back to what Engineer Batumbe was saying. Sometimes the problem is with the customer. So now this time, the problem was not with the contractor. The contractor finished the work. He has put all the things there. We, the customer, we have yet failed to use to get out the money from. But
although the minister says the law is in the making to end the free ride on the road, but when exactly this will happen remains uncertain.
Yes, we have not moved at the pace we should have moved. We should have put the road bill and the law ahead of this. But we didn't. But we are getting over that. I think this afternoon, if you're in Parliament, you shall have the road bill off the table. Definitely. And the tolling will start.
Philip Aguta reporting.
High time that road actually generated some money for the government. Now on to land matters, where the Commission of Inquiry into Land Matters has unearthed inconsistencies in the allegations of encroachment on Bajo, Chiwulula and Wamale forest reserves in Kayunga district. It will also investigate circumstances under which National Forestry Authority officials parceled it out.
Okay. Bajo, Chiwulula and Wamale forest reserves in Kayunga district have been parceled out to individuals and GM Sugar Company. It was alleged that over 2,000 hectares have been encroached upon. Among the terms and conditions of the land inquiry is to investigate into and review the effectiveness of relevant bodies in the preservation of wetlands, forests and game reserves.
We decided that before we delve deep into the investigation, this was a good opportunity for us to actually launch an investigation into the whole of, I can say, Kayunga, but starting with this as our point of entry.
And the Commission made a field visit to the land in contestation and discovered that there was excavation and removal of trees by private individuals with titles.
The NFA has cattle rearers who live within the forest. Their usage of the forest is minimal in the sense that they don't have this level of use where you excavate and remove trees. Theirs is mainly feeding their cattle. We talked to quite a number of them, and we will continue to talk to them because we want to understand their stories a bit more. Some of them say they've been around for 15 years. They have had licenses given by NFA to fatten cows and to grow for 15 years. And in that time, they've experienced and have some fears about private people coming with titles and attempting to evict them. And some of them told some stories of eviction.
Over 1,000 hectares of land have sugarcane plantations out of the 1,900 hectares of Wamale Forest Reserve.
The owners of this sugarcane plantation are called GM, and their sugarcane plantation comes all the way from Wamale to where we are now, which is called Kihura Central Forest Reserve. Kihura Central Forest Reserve is also somewhere in Galilaya, in this area called Galilaya, and it's this area of Kihura is 2,147 hectares, which is about 6,000 acres. And as you can see, there's fresh excavation that's going on, which means that this is ground that will soon be ready for planting more sugarcane.
It was alleged that officials from the National Forest Authority are behind the partition of the forest reserves to individuals.
And if you notice, even yesterday we asked the questions, who are the names behind the names? Obviously, there are some usual suspects like Haji Haruna Semakula. That's a usual suspect. He just has an affinity for forests, and now we're finding him here as well. But there are other names that must signify a name behind them, because it's actually quite extraordinary to think that a common Ugandan would take interest in acquiring 10,000 acres of forest land. And from the testimony of the officer yesterday, you could see that she was under intimidation, but we don't know. This is our first time to investigate this matter, so give us some time and we will discover who are the names behind the names. The Commission will look into the challenges of National Forest Authority and its effectiveness because residents in Kayunga district are unaware of the existing forest reserves. Bajo, Wamale and Chiwulula constitute of over 7,000 hectares of land for forest reserves in Kayunga district, with 2,000 hectares encroached upon. Public land. The river is a public land, the forest is a public land, the chicken is a public land. You are giving out everything. Chichi.
These guys are hostile. They are armed. These people, you may not sleep in your home.
The Commission is investigating the matter. Sudat Kai, UBC.
Thanks, Sudat Kai, for that report there now. And with changing weather patterns likely to cause cholera and dysentery, awareness campaigns are indeed the sure way to go in as far as hygiene at local wells is concerned. Now, there is a project that has started and Kampala is the first beneficiary.
When the cholera epidemic hit Kampala last year, areas of Kinawataka were affected. To ensure this doesn't occur again, National Water and Sewerage Corporation with local leaders and stakeholders are cleaning up spring wells around Kampala.
So what National Water looks forward is, through the school water and sanitation clubs, is to gazette these areas so that these people can be able to get free water but safe water. As you can see, the place is just open. The water is all there. The children are bathing themselves. Some people are defecating in the sewage. So cholera is bound to break out here.
The initial contact has been at Kinawataka Katogo, where cholera wreaked havoc last year.
Because the more you play, you contaminate the place. So my appeal to all residents is that wherever you have spring wells, they are helping us as people in the community. Let us always keep them clean to prevent diseases like cholera, dysentery, hepatitis B, and other diseases related to water.
This well at Katogo provides water to more than 5,000 residents and has been cleaned with assistance from students of St. Kizito Bugorobi.
Last year we had tree planting, but this year we have water. So we are working on water, want to improve on our water sources in Kampala. Because for us, we enjoy clean water, but there are people out there who have water that's not clean. And that's what is causing diseases nowadays.
The locals laud efforts of National Water and Sewerage Corporation with advice towards better services, especially piped water. On average, the price of piped water in this area is 300 shillings per jerrycan, which is way too high for the locals. Thus, relevance of the spring well. John Barnes, Centum, reporting.
News Tonight will now take a short break, but we'll return with business. Stay with us.
Every dream has a challenging journey. Ours began in 1998 with a mission to drive the development of a robust communications sector in Uganda. We created structures to champion the dream. We've evolved, made discoveries, supported great minds, empowered Ugandans, and fostered a vibrant culture, enabling communication for all. Down the years, we've created memories and networks, uniting generations and building great partnerships. Together, we can go even further. UCC, celebrating 20 years of achievements.
The National Environment Management Authority, NEMA, invites the general public to review and scrutinize the Environmental and Social Impact Assessment Report for the proposed Kingfisher Development Project. The project involves the development of the Kingfisher oil field located in Chikube district and feeder pipeline transporting crude oil to the delivery point in Kabale in Hoima district. The major components of the project include oil production and water injection wells, central processing facility, flow lines, water obstruction station, feeder pipeline, and supporting infrastructure. Copies of the report are available at the following locations. Written comments should be addressed to the Executive Director, National Environment Management Authority, Ginger Road, Kampala by 15th May 2019. NEMA, ensuring sustainable development.
Welcome back. Let's have a look now at business news, where non-life insurance business continued to dominate the insurance industry in 2018 with a relative percentage share of 66.6% in total premiums, whereas life insurance was 28.69%. Now, overall, the insurance industry sustained a positive two-digit growth trajectory and expects 2019 to even be a more rewarding year.
The Insurance Regulatory Authority of Uganda has released the insurance sector performance results for the year 2018.
Overall, the industry continued to grow at double digit. And the factors to this growth can be highlighted as below. One, the improved distribution platforms. You are all aware of the bank assurance, which was introduced some time ago, and this has managed to contribute 26 billion underwritten through that channel.
The Chief Executive Officer, Alhaj Kaduna Bilubega, says that overall gross written premiums grew by 17.51%. However, non-life insurance continued to dominate the industry in terms of composition.
The share of non-life business has moved from 70.01% in 2017 to 66.6% in 2018. That to us is positive.
Despite the dominancy of non-life business, life insurance registered faster growth at 28.69% rate compared to non-life that grew at only 12.36%.
Share of life in total premiums increased from 22.86% in 2017 to now 25.34% in 2018.
Sustained growth in uptake of government-subsidized agriculture insurance under the Agriculture Insurance Consortium partly contributed to the good results.
When you look at the sums insured in agriculture insurance, the sums insured or the policies issued moved from 236 billion to 388 billion in the year 2018, which also means that the rate which is charged on agriculture policies has continued to go down.
Whereas 2018 has glaring results for the insurance sector to showcase, 2019 is even expected to blossom better results. David Matovu for UBC in Kampala.
Thanks, David, for that report there. And now, with less than a month to end the fiscal year 2018-2019, Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities has a new campaign that is expected to contribute to the sector's goals in the next financial year. Dubbed Breathtaking Uganda, it is a Uganda tourism campaign that uniquely targets promoting Ugandan tourism to Ugandans. Mark Wadulu Arnold reports.
In the past century, Uganda has positioned and marketed itself as an indoor tourism's top center, with a myriad of attractions ranging from its culture, wildlife, physical features, among others. The Deputy Chief Justice Alphonse Owindolo said this while urging Ugandans to take on the Breathtaking Uganda initiative.
Uganda is one of those very few countries in the world where you do not need a hoe to plant a seed. You just scratch the ground with your hand like this and plant your seed, and you'll have the seed. I'm talking about literal scratching of the ground, plant the seed, and you do no more. So when young men and ladies like you find in Breathtaking Uganda come up to promote this industry, I think we will be failing our country. We will not be failing them. We will be failing our country if we do not seize the opportunity to really ensure that we harness the best that there is in our country.
Breathtaking Uganda is the latest tourism campaign uniquely designed for Ugandans to tour the unseen attractions of the country at affordable rates.
The unique thing about Breathtaking Uganda is that it's a drive by Ugandans for Ugandans, and to encourage all of us as Ugandans to appreciate and understand our country better. That's the unique thing about it.
Godfrey Chiwanda, the State Minister for Wildlife and Antiquities, is urging government to consider financing the private sector tourism initiatives, since they are the biggest drivers of the sector.
Tourism is private-led, so any initiative that comes privately, actually almost 70% of the work in tourism is private, and we need it that way. Government should always be there to provide the guidance and also to provide the policy, but we need the private sector to join the tourism drive.
For the past 5 years, tourism is one of Uganda's leading foreign exchange earner, bringing in over 1 million tourists annually.
So that's a man's room. Men, what about the females? They don't fall.
For UBC Business, Wadulo Makanold.
Now, over 73% of Ugandans with bank accounts do not know their credit worthiness, and yet this is very, very vital information for one to access a financial product. Samuel Umkoko, the Chief Executive Officer of Metropole Credit Reference Bureau, says the new product delivery platform, Metropole Cristobal, will help borrowers control their credit information.
Credit reference bureaus are an important component in the financial sector because, one, they facilitate easy access to credit using alternative collateral, which is the information capital, the information value based on customers' credit history. And where the mechanism is then developed, you get it becoming a basis of pricing credit. So that means that customers who have good credit scores are then able to get lower interest rates and more favorable terms. And eventually, as the market matures, then you find that the customer's credit history becomes the single most important component that any lender will look at. You know that for a long time, when if you wanted to open an account with a bank or to borrow, banks will tell you you need to run an account for 6 months so that they can look at the operations, how you are depositing and how you are withdrawing, just to get to understand your behavior. When you have functioning credit reference bureaus, that information is already existing on the credit reference profile, and therefore it becomes sort of like a mobile tool. Customers are able to move with that information from one lender to another. So the need to open an account and run it for some time so that the bank can learn your behavior then becomes unnecessary, because the customer then is empowered with the credit history that they have built over the credit reference bureau. And that's the important message that we would like to bring to your attention.
Samuel Umkuko, the CEO of Metropole Credit Reference Bureau, ending that report there. Meanwhile, Rotarians in Uganda have been introduced to Rotary Business Connect Group with the aim of supporting each other as they serve humanity. The president, Rotary Club Kampala Daybreak, James Onyoy, says one of the objectives of Rotarians is to support the underprivileged by contributing amounts of money to run a given cause. Sudat Kaye reports.
I guess each and every one of us.
Serving above self among Rotarians has been boosted by a Rotary Business Connect group in the country. Past District Governor of Tanzania and Uganda, Ken Mugisha, said Rotarians should benefit regardless of giving back to society.
One of the things we found in Rotary, and one of the challenges that our leaders were telling people that in Rotary you are not supposed to benefit, Rotarians just give and what. But when I went for so many conventions, I've done 20 so far, and our leaders globally were telling us, Rotarians, we have to support each other in business. And then I said, we have our global leaders telling us to support each other, and that was my dream as a businessman and my vision towards Rotary in my district.
Fellowship with the Rotary Club of Daybreak. Ken Mugisha said it is eminent for Rotarians to connect in terms of business.
Right now, we are going to launch the Rotary Business Connect Forum online. As a person who does almost all the fundraising drives in Rotary in Uganda, we always look out for Rotarians to keep on supporting our local programs and projects. When we are building a blood bank, we come to you. When we are looking funds for the cancer ward, we look for you. When we are building the Mukono Hospital by the Rotary Club of Kampala, again we come to Rotarians. Where does that money come from if we don't support Rotarians in their businesses?
The president, Rotary Club Daybreak, James Onyoy, says doubling the money collected to serve humanity can only be attained through supporting each other.
For all the exhibitors, make sure we have already formed a group for exhibitors. Whoever joins us remains in the group, and we continue adding until we build up the momentum that immediate past district governor is telling us.
Sudat Kaye, UBC.
Let's take a look now at how the shilling fared today against selected local and international currencies in our money market report. International news now, and we go to North Korea, where North Korea has fired 2 short-range missiles, as South Korea's military says. Now, the missiles were fired from the Sainori location northwest of the capital, Pyongyang, towards the east. They traveled 420 kilometers, that's about 261 miles, and 270 kilometers. Now, the tests come as a top U.S. envoy has arrived in South Korea for talks on how to break the deadlock over nuclear negotiations. Analysts say the North is trying to increase pressure on the U.S. over its failure to make concessions. A meeting in Vietnam between North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and U.S. President Donald Trump ended without an agreement in February. Mr. Trump walked away from what he described as a bad deal offered by Mr. Kim. News now, and exactly a month to the Pioneer Street Fight boxing event, the main protagonists, Moses Golola and Abbas Kasmali, are both daring the other. Now, the two will contest a non-title rescheduled fight, which aborted last year due to inconsistent weight category of the pugilists.
This is not a joking something.
Fresh from Hoima, where during the Easter weekend he engaged in several training sessions and a fight, Moses Gola is back in town. He has already hit the gym in readiness for his June 9th non-title fight against Abaska Somali.
I'm here to the gym to meditate and to rewind my mind. Yes, Kasumali, I don't undermine him because he's a fighter, but we want to prove who is a champion. I know this is not a title fight, but we are going to prove who is a man. Because we believe that he's a warrior because he knows how, when he's in his studio, he makes it. So, to me, I'm a fighter, I'm a warrior, I'm a world champion in boxing, so I'm so happy to fight boxing now.
The original fight between the two on Boxing Day last year aborted because they failed to harmonize a weight category, convenient for both.
Sikyalina bigambo bingi mu mutwe nsigaza bikonde kubanga ebigambo ebingi tubyogedde nnyo ne tubyogera naye kyenkakasa nti golola wonna wagera okuyita tagenda kuwona.
The fight due on the National Heroes Day of June 9th will be contested along William Street and will feature fighters including Frankie Warabi, Charles Molindo and Mzee Aldina in the undercard. John Barnes, Sendai, reporting.
Now, there seems to be no room for error as the Fresh Dairy Senior Secondary School Games reach semi-final stage in Mbale. Defending champions in the ladies' football have been knocked out. Basketball, table tennis and lawn tennis are some of the disciplines being competed for at the semi-final stage. From Mbale, here is our reporter, Amon.
Shock in the ongoing Fresh Dairy Secondary School Games in Mbale as the defending champion in women football, Gaddafi SS, being knocked out of the tournament by Bishop SS Mokono. In a KG game that ended all square in normal time, teams played into penalties for Gaddafi to lose out 5-4 on penalties.
To thank my coaches, thank my team, and also the effort that they've put in this. We've been training so hard for this, and I know we deserve it. I'm so happy and excited after defeating the defending champions, and I know that with this team, hard work and working together as a team, we shall get somewhere.
Celebrations of bishops were short-lived after receiving news that they were to face Kawempe Muslim in the semi-finals. Giants Kawempe had just walloped Buhobe SS 7-0. However, head coach Selumaga Peter is optimistic that they will overcome Kawempe to the finals.
I've made it because every time we come, we stop at the quarterfinals. This is our first time to go to the semi-final. And as I was saying, that winning a defending champions is a task. So I appreciate the girls for what they have done. This courage they got from winning the regional championship in Mokono, winning the former defending champion of 2017. It gave them the courage.
St. Noah is the other semi-finalist with the 1-0 victory over Uganda Matters SS, while Mokono SS defeated Pride Mixed 5-0. In the ladies' basketball, defending champion St. Mary's Chitende continued with their prowess. The 85-14 victory over Iganga SS. St. Noah humbled Chibuli 40-20, while St. Peter's Nalia lost to Mary Hill 61-42. Semi-final games in tennis are slated for tomorrow, where Chibuli SS is facing Mwiri, while Kololo Tasso's Old Kampala in the men, Chibuli faces Mary Hill in the ladies' finals. Ngabo Emon, reporting for UBC TV.
And finally to cricket now, where Uganda lady cricket national teams dream of retaining the 2019 ICC Women's T20 Africa qualifier has been dashed. Now this despite a 14 runs victory over Kenya, a result that was matched by Namibia in its wallop of Sierra Leone to guarantee top spot in Group B and thus advance to the finals of this tournament in Zimbabwe. The result against Kenya is a welcome boost in the camp, irrespective of failure to progress at this 9-team tournament, whose champion will be in Scotland later this year for the global qualifier.
expected, but it was a good game. We started very well with the batting, but slowed down somewhere in the middle, like in the first 10 overs was really slow, but then Imi came into the party, Rita Musamali came into the party and took us through, and we scored 101 runs. On the fielding side, there was so much pressure defending the runs, but we had a good bowler selection in the first 6 overs and also in the death overs. I think that Damali Businje came in and also gave us a good spell. Franklin, myself, yeah, and then Consi came in and really won the game for us. I think also we had good field placement because all the balls were hit to the fielders at the boundary and we didn't.
And before we end this bulletin, let's have a quick reminder of our top stories. On Upper land conflict announces next steps. NRM launches Manifesto Week. Implementation reaches 62%. North Korea fires 2 short-range missiles. And in sports, secondary school games contest reaches semi-finals in Mbale. It's coming to 4 minutes to the hour of 11 here in the studios of UBC TV. Thank you so much for having kept us company on sign language. It has been Mugalu Mohammed and I'm Edward Rukidi Kijanangoma wishing you a blessed night. Catch you again next week. Good night.
Was